to the wisdom flow. Revenue ramp, let's go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to today's podcast. I'm Arushi, your host for today's session. Now, let me set some context for today's episode. We'll be talking about insurance as a sector. There are a lot of nuances to it, and it is more of a must and have to buy rather than a want to buy product. Now, things have changed a lot post COVID for insurance, especially life insurance. But we'll be speaking on other insurance products, about their digital scaling, about AI coming into the picture, and the future of these products. Our guest today was a founding member at a startup called AI, where he built AI-based chatbots back when conversational AI was just taking shape. Then at Turtleman, he scaled insurance products across multiple areas: motor, health, life. And now at Tata Digital, he's leading the product for InsurTech and AI. We are glad to have you on our episode today, Yadish. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, glad to be here. Looking forward. Really excited. Thank you, both of you, for having me.
Alongside Yadish, we also have Ashutosh, who's the CEO and co-founder at AI, wherein he's building embedded in-app AI agents for BFSI. Thanks for coming in, Ashutosh.
No, thank you so much, Arushi, and thanks for coming in, Yadish. Happy to have you.
Awesome. You've built in so many different contexts, right? Please tell us a bit about your journey so far.
Interestingly, I was thinking about it a little while ago, right? And it almost feels like it is coming full circle. And actually, incidentally, my AI journey started even before Nikki.ai, right? I started out with a multinational company called Altair, where I was initially building software for deep engineering use cases. But that organization had a very interesting program where new joiners like us could pick up an internal problem and sort of go ahead and solve it within the constraints of the budget, right? And one of the problems that I picked was of automating their QA process, right? Which was heavily manual at that point, right? And that led to some self-discovery and some sort of direction on AI, and also introduced me to open source at that point. Then from working there for about 3.5 years, I moved to the startup world, where a friend of mine was running Key.ai, which was a brave new experience for the customer, taking their current prescriptive user experience into a conversational mode back in 2014-15. Right, so joined them, worked them for some time in the capacity of their lead architect and founding member, right? And sort of got the opportunity to lay down some of the architectural infrastructure for NLP-led AI. From there, basically, along the way, I did 2 startups, both in fintech, predominantly in SME lending, and there was a long experience with Turtlemint, which was for 5 years sandwiched in between those 2 startup experiences. And Tata, of course, is one of the leading insurtechs in the country. And for the past 2 years, I've been at Tata Digital, that runs the Tata Neu super app. And I'm building the insurtech category, leading product, and also sort of laying foundations for AI, especially on the financial services side.
Just a very quick follow-up, Yadish. You were a engineer, right?
Yeah.
And you jumped into product. Like, how did that calling happen?
It's quite interesting. So it was not all by accident. It was also by way of learning. So when I was doing my first startup, was unfortunately called Musk Technologies at that point. So we're trying to do SME lending. The way I was a part of the startup was that I was the technology founder, right? And I'd come from a technology background, engineering background. But what I really realized and experienced in Musk was what it feels to really talk to people whose problems you're solving, right? And seeing them at work, understanding their problems firsthand, right? And when you sort of bring a product to them, seeing the joy in the customers when they use the product, solving their existing problems, right? And I think that really made me realize that I really enjoyed being closer to the customer, right? Rather than being at the back end, right? while I also enjoyed building technology products, right? So the product management role was like right at the middle, right? As an entrepreneur, you do like a bunch of things, so you get to try out different roles, and I really found product management to be the right fit for me.
So, Yadish, how did insurance happen for you? Total meant it was a different trajectory for you, right? So, how was that journey for you as a product manager?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, basically, getting into InsurTech was more of a conscious choice, right? Again, shutting down Musk, we realized that the financial services industry was amazing. I would genuinely geek out on financial products. That kind of feeling of geeking out did not happen to me till this point. So it was very clear that I had to go in financial services, and there was 2-3 clear choices. You could go into credit, you could go into investments or insurance. And at that point, I thought insurance was extremely underserved, right? So it's very fascinating that time, and that is how I interviewed at Turtlement. And I was also lucky because Anand, who's a co-founder, is one of the sort of oldest product mentors you have in the industry, right? And so was really lucky to work with him as a PM. Took on the responsibility of the motor insurance product there, which is a core revenue driver for Turtlement. In general, India motor insurance is one of the largest categories from a retail consumer point of view.
So, I just have a question, Yadish. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but not a lot of people are keen on purchasing insurance products until unless it is absolutely necessary, like a life insurance product. So something that I've heard is motor insurance is something which is like a starting point for people to get into the insurance. So is it that way, or like is there a different pattern to it?
So, motor insurance is a very need-driven product. If you have a vehicle, right, only then you need a motor insurance. Unlike other products like health and life, which is applicable to almost all of us, right? But given that it is a mandatory product by regulation, consumers are also in some way forced to experience it. And that in general becomes the first insurance product people experience, whereas the health and life insurance kind of products are more applicable today, at least for a more mature late stage customer, right? So yeah, that is absolutely true that today a lot of consumers experience insurance via motor insurance as a category, right? And also it gives the customer some sense of understanding how an insurance product will be priced, how to pick a brand, for instance, which becomes a really important parameters.
Makes sense. Thousands.
Absolutely. We started out with motor insurance predominantly. We took a two-dimensional approach. One was the dimension of extending the breadth of the offerings that we had, but also really go deep into the problems of an insurance agent when they're on field, communicating with the customer, building that relationship with the customer, right, and serving the customer post-purchase, right? And that led to the role evolving in itself into a multi-category product role, right? And it just happened so that like a lot of horizontal products also kept adding on.
You've seen the insurtech industry from the early days, right? How has the user adoption been from that point until now?
I think there have been like several sort of factors of change, and AI is just one in the line of many, right? I think a lot really sort of step changed when COVID happened, and people were unwillingly pushed towards experiencing hospitalization and claims, and also in some sort of unfortunate instances, deaths, right? They really sort of came face to face with that risk, and therefore the awareness for insurance has gone up significantly. And it's not a small change. We see consumers being far more educated and aware about the insurance products today than we saw pre. The other thing that has also happened is the proactive regulator that has come in, right, and has put their foot down on consumer protection and education and awareness, right, with some of the life insurance campaigns that you'd see going out. Where AI will excel is getting to that n equal to 1 kind of personalization, right? Given that actually financial products for you, me, Ashutosh are very different because our needs are really, really personalized, right? So I think that kind of scale in personalization is what AI would drive, right? Today, like if you look at the parlance at which insurance or any other financial services products are sold, right, is through lead qualification, qualifying a customer or lead for a product, whereas they should be the product that gets qualified for the customer, right? So I think AI will drive that reverse product qualification for the customer by getting that n equal to 1 personalization level.
Makes absolute sense. Ashutosh, from a user point of view, because you have also been working with a few insurance players, can you tell me from a journey perspective, what are some issues that they have come up with?
No, I think one point I would like to double tap on Yadish's point is basically that the AI era is in, right? What we have seen as an application was that the applications are designed for like 90% of the user, meaning it is not designed for massive edge cases and very personalized need for all of the users, right? So let's say a home, so my qualifications are different, your qualifications are different, right? So personalization is a very important piece that Yadish pointed out rightly. People have not yet realized it, that AI will be able to solve the personalization problem. What they are right now solving is revenue triggers, majorly that how can I basically increase my conversion, how can I bring back the user who has dropped off, right? But there will be a gradual shift which will start happening in terms of providing right application to the user, so that the drop off reduces, so that the customer gets more conversions, and people will realize it once they start seeing this happening all around their ecosystem. You need technology at scale which can probably solve these problems, but ultimate game will be, I think, what Yadish mentioned is personalization at scale. Everybody's app might be different, everybody's agent might be different, right? It should be like a true companion that can help me. There is a lot of mis-selling that happens, right? So I think there are a lot more things needed than just personalization overall. But yeah, we'll reach there as a tech.
Absolutely. We just hope for the best. Doubling down on AI, I want to understand from you, Yadish. Now, because you've been working with AI ever since you graduated from college, you worked at a startup with your friend, you built chatbots to assist in sales. Now, where I just want to know how AI has changed ever since up till now around sales and furthermore around conversational AI, if we want to touch that piece.
Yeah, absolutely. When we started working at Nikki back in 2015, trying to solve a very deep-rooted problem on the experience of the customer in a more natural way. Today, like the user experience, I think is more restrictive because it is built by someone who understands, like Ashutosh was saying, 90% of the customers, right? A product manager who's sitting behind the screen, right? And along with a designer and engineering team building that journey out for the customer, right? And Nikki was trying to sort of take that away and give customers more ease of defining their own path, right? But at that point, honestly, the underlying technology was the rate limiting factor, right? The way LLMs have really changed the world for natural language processing. That was, of course, not available then, right? And we relied heavily on open source models like Stanford Core NLP, etc. And there were a bunch of problems. One, it was trained on Google Books kind of data, right, which is more sort of grammatically correct, literature kind of data set that they used to train, right? Which was less applicable in real-time, real-world conversations, right? And the other piece was that in India, consumers were not necessarily using English predominantly, right, in their conversations, right? They are more used to use English or some form of Hindi, etc., right? So those models were not great in terms of reliability and confidence, right? And therefore, the overall experience of the customer could not really jump to the level it can do today, right? And therefore, I think today the world is very different, right? The kind of conversations people can have with their favorite large language model is unheard of, right? Except for sort of forward-looking cinema like the movie Her, right? And I think that reality is very close now, right? And I think uh, uh, so basically for any product you need to get to product market fit, right? And that really defines whether or not you'll be successful, right? I think the underlying technology is so good now that getting to product market fit is uh, not as hard, definitely not as hard as it used to be, right? And the uh, what has happened with ChatGPT as a product out in the consumer market is that customer acceptance for natural language conversations over internet has also gone up, right? Uh, Instead of talking to their friends, they can now talk to a system in natural language for hours and hours, right? So that put together with the sort of confidence and accuracy of the models, right, has truly, I think, now changed the game, right? And I don't think sales over AI is something that is a hard problem now. And I really think um there are sort of more important problems now to be solved, right? And this is something that should become a part of the fabric of every organization anyway, right? Um, we are also at Tata Digital doing some parts of it using AI, and I think we've seen great success today, both on chat and voice modes, right? And just basis that, I can like really reaffirm that sales on AI is not something that is a far reality right now.
So, Yadish, in lending, there is this concept that we keep talking about is building an invisible AI relationship manager. Because early in the days, all like the user has to constantly tell the relationship manager that this is their context. And I mean, it's not a scalable option, right? But now, if let's say there's an AI relationship manager that retains all the information that the user says and it gives them personalized experience. So, similarly, in InsurTech, do you think such InsurTech enterprises are ready for such adoption wherein, um, just like the movie Her, you said, there are these AI agents which kind of converse with users. Do you think such adoption is possible today?
It's actually already happening, honestly, right? And it's not just the startups or the tech world that is adopting AI. We've also seen at a manufacturer level, insurers really sort of uh, going one step ahead and adopting AI for their own sales channels and service channels, right? And I think there's a lot more confidence now, right, uh, on the technology to really take it to actual customers, right? And we've seen some examples in the current world also where uh, that AI relationship manager equivalent, right? Maybe not in like full context, maybe in parts where the problems for the customer are more acute, is already reaching out to the customer through various modes, and customers are sort of also giving that time of the day, to converse with it and really sort of get their problems answered, right? And I think on the point that you made on visible versus invisible, I think that is also like it's a function of the problem that we're trying to solve, right? At some point, that advisor has to be visible to the customer, where they have to, by visible, I mean through some mode, right? Through a voice call or through a chat, right? Visible to the customer so that they are able to build that confidence. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Avish.
So, from a user perspective, have you seen any patterns on how people have been interacting with AI? Like, do they want to know whether they are speaking to an AI or is it a human that they're talking to? So, I just want to understand whether the AI layer has to be shown or does it need to be hidden from the user, and where all
Yeah,
it needs to be shown needs to be hidden.
yeah. See, it's a choice to make based on the use case that you're looking at, right? If it's a regulatory use case that you are looking at, right, you're also bound by the regulation which really sort of comes in to protect the customer, right? And in those cases, if the regulation says that you have to really call out that this is an AI you are chatting with, right, I think it makes sense. Those are more critical decision points for customers also, right? And therefore, sort of customers knowing how much confidence they should put in this voice call is important for their decision making, right? But there are sort of layers where AI has been operating for like several years now, right? Without customers even knowing, right? For instance, the whole recommendation engine, right, on marketplaces, right, which sort of brings the right product for you every time you land, or even on YouTube, right, which brings the right video for you, right, is all backed by AI in plain sight, like hidden plain sight, right, and customers don't have to really know that this is an AI. So it truly depends on the use case, right? And I think if it's about building customer trust, engaging them, educating them, right? I think right now it's important to let the customer transparently know that you're talking to AI, right? So that they can understand what is the level of trust and confidence they should build from this conversation, right? And slowly and steadily, as the agents or the bots really sort of gain the confidence of the customer, right? I don't think customers will care, right, if they're talking to a human or an agent, right? As long as they are getting their problem solved, right? As long as they are getting the answers. I think that inflection point uh, has, at least we are starting to see some of that, right? And we are starting to see customers not caring about AI, right? Which is like a good proxy for that is how many customers pick a repeat call from AI. The first time you're talking to an AI, right? You're told that this is an AI you're talking to. Customer goes ahead and talks to them, right? And then the call disconnects, right? If they get a call again from that AI bot, right? Knowingly, but well knowing that this is an AI bot, right? Will the customer pick up and sort of uh, talk to that bot, right? And that trend we have seen going up, right? So that's a good indicator to say that customers wouldn't really care if the conversational experience is good, which is, I think, now really happening.
Right. I think that's a great metric to see whether uh, AI is working on calls for users or not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
These from a business point of view. Now, if we have to say that, we are, let's say, or onboarding clients from a business point of view, what is the highest ROI AI implementation in the customer journey that you've seen until now? Like, I mean, from your experience at till now at Tata Digital, what trends have you seen?
Yeah, I think predominantly today, if you look at the use cases are about, I think Ashutosh also talked about it a little bit, right? Where he said that today these are all point solutions, right? In sort of improving some business metric, right? And maybe overall conversion, etc., right? And today, I think the sharpest use cases are in education of the customer, right? Which really helps some of the activation metrics, right? Where you see customers uh, uh, really not constrained by whatever content is available on that page, right? And are able to really ask whatever questions they have or doubts they have, right? Through a chatbot, right? And that is leading to higher sort of intent shift of the customer, right? And we've seen that happening where customers who really asked their questions or were engaged by, say, a chatbot, right? Saw massive jumps in how quickly and how often they convert into a long lasting customer, right? So that's one, the education and sort of doubt clearance part, because insurance in itself is a fairly complex product, and customers have different kinds of edge cases and scenarios in mind, right? So if you're able to truly answer those, that really leads to healthier funnels. And the other one that we've seen really sort of work is on-call support, right? Again, at the point of purchase, right, where the customer really has to make that decision and needs to talk to somebody in a digital journey, they can't, right? So this is a good way of just clicking a button and sort of dialing out to an agent and really understanding what the product is and confirming that their understanding is correct or not, right? So that once they make a payment, they are buying a serious financial product, right? That confidence building at the point of purchase over voice calls has also seen I think in my experience, I've seen really good results.
So, Yadish, what do
Makes
you
sense.
does
I think I just want to I just want to double tap on Yadish's point. I think I too agree. I think what AI has, where I think we have seen results in AI for sure that it is a winner is your lead qualification at scale. I think it can do amazing lead qualification, have that middle layer, right? Then explainability, as in uh, it is able to explain a concept very clearly and repetitively without any fatigue, without any differentiation between different customers, right? With empathy to all the customers. I think second. Third is do not letting the customer drop off. Basically understanding and predicting, okay, let's say the customer is struggling and now let's say I should be able to, let's say, not let the customer drop off and explain whatever is needed, right? As you said on the payments page, these are critical points overall for a customer. We have spent so much on that customer to reach that point, right? Now if that customer drops off, probably it is going to be a worst case scenario for any product manager, right? I think totally agree on that piece, I think. Yeah. So one question though, Yadish, if you can double tap on that, is that so when you say uh, you have experimented uh, a bot on the payments page, is it an in-app agent or is it a calling agent being triggered? So how does that happen, and how do you identify? If you can give us some details there.
Yeah, I think so. Today we run with two kind of flows, right? One is like I said, at the point of discovery and education, right? Which is where customer is doing their research, really trying to understand they should buy one product or the other, comparing their use case with the use cases in the market, right? And really understanding if this is the right product for them, right? So that discovery decision making phase, right? There, I think customers are not looking at making synchronous decisions, right? So their chats are great, you know, because you can let the customer come asynchronously chat any point of time, right? You don't have to really worry about if it's between 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., etc. Right? Customers can chat whenever they want, right? So you give customers that freedom to really sort of pick this up at any given point of time, right? And also keeping context, right? So that if a customer wants to really go back to conversation, it's easy to do that. So that's one core part. And the other one that really works at the point of purchase is a voice agent, right? Because at that point, customers want to get out of that journey really quickly. Right? They've done a lot of work. They just need that last confidence booster, right? To really make sure that, for instance, if they're buying a life insurance product, right, they're buying a 30-year long contract, right? Uh, they need that confidence at that point, right, to really say that they're making the right choice, right? And that's a good point for a voice agent, and I think that also works out really well.
Just how are you serving that voice bot? Is it in app or is it outside
No,
a telephony app?
Yeah, it's a telephony sort of agent, right? Where customers have an inbound number, they can dial out, right,
Okay,
and experience.
got it.
Yeah, yeah,
Makes sense. Makes sense. So have you tried a proactive bot? Because this is more sort of a reactive approach, right?
yeah,
Meaning, uh, customer is confused, then we are telling the customer to dial in, right? How about you being more proactive, having an embedded agent, in-app agent? I'm not trying to sell what we are selling at
Of course,
but I'm just trying to understand what is have you experimented, because you have done uh, something which we already have done with multiple folks, and uh, I think you are ahead in the experimentation phase, right? So have you tried an in-app agent or a agent which is non telephony but is sitting in the app, can guide the customer?
Yeah, on honestly on voice we haven't, right.
Okay.
We've done proactive calling, but again on telephony, right. for customers who've come to the page several times and dropped off, right? Um, we sort of reach out to them over telephony, over telephone calls, right, to really understand what was their motivation and why did they drop off, and what could we do to really sort of help them. Again, happening via AI completely, right? But on telephony, not on a VoIP kind of interface.
Makes sense. Makes sense. No, thanks. I think this really helps. I think great step because uh I think only fewer people really understand where to rightly place AI, right? Uh I think that is a very important piece. People, while I talk to a lot of folks, people are in delusion of that uh AI is a silver bullet which can solve anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I think
you
I
knowing
agree.
where to put it, I think
I agree.
that is the half part is done.
Yeah,
That's it.
I agree completely. I think this is like a regular problem with any new technology, right? They're very extreme views initially, right? And then it gets to moderation. And I think fundamentally the core tenets of product building always survive, right? Which is if you have to really use a tool to solve a customer problem. If you're doing that, um, like I think all tools work really well, right? And I don't want to really also diminish the AI waves by just saying that it's another tool. It's not a regular tool; it's a superpower for sure. But it still has to be used to solve a customer problem, right? So as long as that is happening, um, I think the product will win.
Awesome. Um, Yadish, so just in continuation to what Ashutosh asked about the placement of AI, correct placement of AI. Now you said a lot of teams have already started implementing it into their flows, especially if you talk about InsurTechs. From your current POV, from a product manager's POV, how would you actually embed it into the core product, and in which ways would you do it?
Yeah, I think um, yeah, it's a good question. So basically, what I was saying earlier, right, that a PM has to use this as a tool in solving a customer problem, right? They have to really look at what is the customer struggling with today, right? Uh, and 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 see where they can use this as a superpower to really sort of take the experience to the next level, right? And AI can genuinely take that step jump in getting the customer experience right, right? Um, but it has to be treated like a superpower in the toolbox and not the product in itself. Right? And I think the PMs have to also really focus on how they introduce this to customer, right? So internally we call it 3-step process, right? So there is the onboarding experience, right? The conversational experience and the offboarding experience, right? So all the three have to come together for a customer to truly experience the quality of the product, right? So how you sort of enable a customer to onboard seamlessly onto, say, a chatbot, right? And at the same time, not really being in the face of the customer a lot, right? To really become annoying and obtrusive. Right? So that seamless, polite onboarding experience, and of course the conversational experience, because uh, uh, people are also lazy, right? Customers are lazy, right? So if you put a lot of text in the answers, right, the answers might be absolutely correct, right, but customers are not going to take the effort to read them, right? So making the answers really concise, using some of the multimodal capabilities to build answers which are in form of tables, graphs, images, videos, right, which are more engaging for the customer, right? So the tenets of the product manager to really uh, make sure that the customer is engaged, right, and they are joyous, happy doing that, right, and they are not looking at it as some chore, right? That is absolutely critical. And then also offboarding, right? That is a critical aspect, right? And that you don't abruptly end the conversation, right? You seamlessly provide a way for the customer to move from the conversational to the predictive UI again, right? or take a customer from a AI agent to a human agent, right? Depending on what the use case is, right? So that that end-to-end experience has to be managed by the product manager, right? That's a critical part because a lot of times chatbots or voice bots are thrown as bandages to problems, right? And if the experience of getting onto it or off of it or during the conversation is not great, customers are not going to put the effort to solve the problem for you. Right? So that's like a core core part. And I also think it's also a great opportunity for PMs to get involved in the building process, right? And really sort of take ownership of three things at least, right? There could be other things that you could take ownership of, but writing the system prompt, right? Really sort of understanding how your chatbot or a voice bot should come out to be if that were a person, right? So writing that system prompt is something that PMs could really deeply participate in because they know the customers best in the organization, right? Um, and the other thing is running evals, right? Which is in today's parlance, the QA of the products is sort of outsourced to a different team, right, rather than the product team, right? It happens either in engineering or as a separate QA team, right? Uh, but in the AI world, right, running evals is something that the PMs could get deeply involved into, right? They know the customer queries well. They understand what kind of questions could arise for the product that they're selling, right? So they could get deeply involved. And the third thing, which is maybe more applicable to regulatory products, is setting up guardrails, right? Which is again another piece of work that I think the PM is the best position to do, right? Because they understand business also, they understand customer also, and they also understand the regulatory frameworks that they're building in, right? So making sure that the bots don't cross a regulatory boundary. That is also, I think, those three things really sort of pulls in the PM very deep in the building process, right? Which I think product managers would enjoy.
I think you could have really insightful points, the 3 pointers that you just mentioned. Um, you said that people are becoming lazier now. I mean, it's not like it's just how things are moving forward, right? Like as a user, if I go on ChatGPT nowadays, I don't even want to type. I just use the voice button and I just narrate my prompt, and that's how I use it. So as a user, I personally see voice as a huge potential in the coming years, in the next 3 or 4 years, because earlier we used to have buttons on phones, then click came in, and then now we have voice prompts for everything. So even as a user, if I'm being onboarded on an app, I would want voice to do all the tasks. I would want a personalized agent on the phone who would do everything for me. I won't have to click anywhere, touch anywhere. So how do you see this also going forward in the next couple of years? Voice being the major key in building personalized relationships with.
No, absolutely. I think uh, voice as a mode is one of the most natural forms of conversations, right? That people allude to, right? And I think it's a great trust builder. Right? You're talking to somebody versus chatting with somebody. Talking to somebody will instantly build chemistry, instantly build trust, right? In the people in the conversation, right? And I think uh, there's also a lot of nuance, right, or rich information that is there in a voice conversation over a chat conversation, right? It's very easy to really judge if somebody is higher intent, what is the kind of sentiment, right? When you're talking to somebody over voice, right, which is where basically a lot of mishaps have happen over chat, right? In personal conversations also, right? So I think voice is definitely going to be one of the core modes, right? And now uh, fundamentally the models are so good, right, that the experience of a voice conversation is very close to how a real conversation happens between humans, right? And the latency, etc., is also sub 300 ms, right? Which is basically good enough for a customer to really think that they're talking to a human, right, and not really wait on the response of the bot, right? So I think now is a great time for voice to really go deep, and also especially in a multilingual way, right? So that they are able to cater to a large set of customers with a mode which is very, very natural to customers on day one, right? So it doesn't really need any kind of training, right? Uh, when you launch a product in the market, generally uh, you hope to get product market fit very quickly, right? Because uh, that is a core sort of lever of success, right? But at the same time, customers also really sort of go through a product journey and understand what is happening, etc. So they take their own time. But in voice kind of a product, right, it's instant. So you pick up a phone or you pick up an app and start talking to that, right? The conversation is a very instant driver of that product market fit. So I think voice is a very rich mode, and I think it'll also hopefully become one of the more core modes in financial services typically, because it allows for a much deeper trust building with the customer. Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
I mean, we hope for the best to John. I think we've covered almost everything. If there's anything from your end, Ashutosh, then I would like to move towards the rapid fire round.
Yeah, I think I love the clarity Yadish brought to this table. I think massive level of clarity, and I do believe on the three things that you mentioned, Yadish. I've just written them down for myself as well. Uh, so I think first bit was predictive, or you want to say generative UI. I think we are also working on that piece, and we really believe it on it, like betting it on a big way, because we think that everything is going to be hyper personalized for with respect to the customer. Second is the guardrails and evals thing. I think you rightly mentioned, if a PM wants to go deeper and deeper into conversational, they should have an understanding of how evals run, what are the guardrails for your product, right? And 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 the system prompts, right? I think absolutely. And they should be they should be able to understand how they are going to build the context, right? Because what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, what do you think, and would love to pick your brain on this, is that I think PMs uh, will be now much more responsible for customer experience, which used to be a part of a customer experience team, or a support team of sort, or a different team altogether, right? But now that the contact centers are being consumed, who will be responsible, right? I think that is where the key important placement comes in, that okay, now the PM should actually lead the overall PNL with the understanding of customer experience, AI, the core product, and marketing the product as well, is what I see. I think because it will be so easy for everything is being like slashed into a AI tool of sort, right? So possibly, I think this is my thought process overall on PM's job, because I have been a PM for around 7-8 years, right? So I think you rightly mentioned that. I love the clarity that you brought. So I would love to know your take on this piece, right?
Yeah.
How do you think? First question would be like, how do you think PM's jobs will be getting changed with AI in BLSI particularly? Second would be, what are your thoughts on like generative UI as well?
Yeah, sure. So on the first one, right, on the product manager's role, right, and I think we're already seeing some of that movement happening, right? See, I think fundamentally PMs were always responsible for the end-to-end customer experience, right? It's just that it was always extremely hard, right? Because things were spread across so many functions, so many different systems, etc. Right? And therefore, uh, even knowingly or wantingly, PMs were not able to really do a great job at it, right? But going forward, given that a lot of things will be in a product manager's control, right? In terms of at least the quality of the product they are putting out in the market, right? I think the PM will also be happier, in terms of being in control of the experience of the customer, right? And therefore being able to do things about it, right? So I think to me, product managers are going to become extremely enabled, right? And that will of course come with a lot of responsibility also. But I think today, a lot of product manager time sort of goes into program management, right? And into really sort of getting things together, right? To be able to get that singular end-to-end CX view, right? So all of that will sort of now fold into one deep role, right? Instead of a very broad role. I think that will enable PMs fundamentally across organizations. And I think it'll be a very welcome change for product managers. Right? They'd love to be there. Actually. So I think that's on point number one. On point number two, on generative UI, I think like right from the start, I've been an advocate of personalized customer experiences, right? And I think especially in financial services, uh, uh, needs of individuals are not equal to needs of the masses, right? And therefore, that n equal to 1 personalization is especially important in a financial services product, right? Be it investments, be it credit, be it insurance, or some of the other financial services products that are going to get enabled now due to this sort of advent of technology, right? So I think there it will definitely have a large impact on the way customers look at financial services, right? And today, it's a very intimidating look for most customers, right? When it comes to talking about their financial health or sort of purchasing products that will really help them become fit or healthy financially, right? Um, but I think that will change, right? And that is maybe Arushi's first question, right? That insurance today is a push product, right? I think all of that is sort of ready for a change, and this is definitely from a bet point of view. I would definitely bet on this particular technology, right, to take us close to that.
Massive. Thanks, Yadish. I think I loved the take. Really interesting. Yeah, over to you, Arushi.
All right. Yeah. So, Yadish, rapid fire round. Just say whatever comes to your mind. The first thing. If you weren't in InsurTech, which industry would you be in?
I would be in deep tech. That's where I started. Yeah, products that are backed by scientific research. I think that's where I would.
Awesome. One hobby that you absolutely love.
Uh, I love playing football and watching football. So I anything to do with
Wow.
football.
All right, all right. If AI could take one non-work task off your plate, what would it be?
Keeping me fit. I think that takes a lot of hard work today. If I could do parts of it or whole of it, I think it'd be great.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. A city you would love to work for a month.
Uh, so if it was in India, I would like to work from the hills, so Dharamkot, Masuri, and if it was anywhere in the world, maybe Silicon Valley.
Wow. Wow, very interesting. Um, one thing about AI that still amazes you.
I think it really sort of what really amazes me even after so many sort of turns of talking to AI is how good is its recall, that you could have had a conversation with it 2 years ago, right? And it still remembers it with all details, right? Which is something that human conversations don't have, right? So that I see today as an edge over human conversation. If I talk to a friend in 2 years, 3 years, that nuance, all of that will be forgotten. But AI will always remember, right? So I think that's still amazing.
Perfect. So that was the end to our rapid fire round. We had a great session talking to you, Yadish. Thanks for coming in and giving us your time. We really enjoyed, and we also picked your brains on a lot of nuanced topics, and you've been really patient. So thank you for coming in today.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Ashutosh, Arushi, for having me. Really nice questions. I had a lot of fun chatting with you guys. And I think I'm also learning along with you guys.
Amazing. Loved the clarity, loved the take. I probably a lot of PMs will be watching this and they learn how to take AI ahead in BFSI, right? Loved having you.